Tonnage and displacement, what are they and what do they mean for those new to boating in a nutshell? Follow us. Let's start with the description of tonnage, which is the least important for you to focus on. If you want to get into recreational boating, tonnage, let me give you an example to remind you what we're talking about. We're talking about the volumes and not the weight of the boat. So tonnage is about the volume. The volume. Imagine you have a box and inside you throw in some things. When it's full, that's the tonnage. So it's the volume, not really the weight. This volume is measured in tons, yes, but it's measured in tons and it takes into account the entire volume, including empty spaces, for instance. Therefore, it's not the weight of the boat. Tonnage is calculated and it is considered, for example, by the Merchant Navy to account for the loading and unloading volumes of ship containers. Very, very large. It's also used in recreational boating, but it's a measure that is mainly considered by insurance companies. The most important thing you need to remember, however, is not the tonnage. But what about displacement? Let's take a closer look at what it is, so I can remember what I've done. Tonnage, ton displacement. Wake. Displace, so that means that to remember the more important stuff, the tonnage doesn't interest me. I'm interested in displacement, which is the wake that the boat makes in the water. Basically, considering the principle of Archimedes' law, where a solid immersed in water experiences a force equal to or opposite to its weight. Same, automatically. When we talk about displacement, the weight of the boat is actually how much the boat is displacing right now. The weight is equivalent, so it's the weight that you actually want to know and understand in order to make comparisons. Calculate, and everything that comes to make your proper considerations. Then, at the level of displacement, there are two types of displacement that are usually mentioned in the day plan. From the internet, which is the light or dry displacement, and the full load displacement. The light or dry displacement is that of the boat, with the engines installed and nothing else. Completely nothing. Sometimes they also refer to it as light displacement. So, just the boat, without even the engines installed. Then, after that, there's the full load displacement. That's what considers the boat, the engines, all full of water, fuel, and people on board. That's the full load displacement. So when I read full load, I have to consider everything that I can normally load onto the boat. Whereas when I talk about light displacement, I only consider the boat. And if it's light, without engines, even without engines. Rightly so, Davide was asking me for further clarifications because sometimes there are some issues. Subtle, marginal, but still important. This means that there's no law that explains and requires shipyards to declare a weight in a certain way. So read the D plan carefully and ask your dealer if the 50 or 100 kilo more or less could make a difference in understanding whether the boat is right for you or not. One very important thing to consider indeed, when you want to consider weights, because maybe you're buying a trailerable boat, you should take the lightweight, which isn't written anywhere without engines. Otherwise, you'll have to add the engines once you've done the lightweight calculation. Keep that in mind. They don't even consider the batteries. For heaven's sake, not even 10 liters of fuel. So always consider a margin of tolerance. Why the anchor? I don't think you're going to take it off every time. So hypothetically, for an 8-meter boat, you need to consider the weight. Light at light displacement means a margin of 100 to 200 kilos more. I hope to have given you some information, some more details, and some help to understand what we in the boating world mean by the weights of boats. And having said that, I recommend you not to get lost. None of our pills. You just need to subscribe right here on this channel. From the Düsseldorf Boat Show 2025, all that's left for me to say is fair winds and always keep an eye on the weather.